Now you're recording.
Okay. So I saw some orbs, but they were moving when I was moving this. So I assume that's just like a reflection, right?
There is one little guy on there. I can't seem to get rid of it, and that's why I use the LEDs now. That it's like in the lower portion, but dead center of the screen, and it'll kind of move with the camera based on light reflection.
Yeah. Yes, it's like right over here.
Right.
Like
yeah.
that.
So that's the normal.
That's
okay.
from,
that's what I
from the
figured.
light.
Okay.
They used to, with that particular camera, the company that makes it kind of recommends you use like these giant bulbs with it. I'm like, that gives you too many false positives. So I found the LED torch, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Okay.
Like, took out so much of the false positives.
Should I be staying with anyone, like maybe Rich? Because in particular?
I would say, honestly, Maureen is probably your best bet.
Really?
The reason why is her device isn't
Most
recording.
accurate?
It's not recording, but that is.
Got
so
it.
that way, in case she misses something, you guys will at least have that audio on the camera.
Got it.
Alright, Lauren, let me see what we're doing.
No, nothing.
I like blue. Like, obviously, we're so close to here. See anything else that makes me like, oh my gosh, it's not going to get really scared on it.
Near me where? What does that mean?
They're near you, maybe?
Near me left? Right? Forward? Where am I going? Near me where? What's near me? Yeah, I think it's just the lights.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, first off, you guys pick up on things quick. Thanks for all the questions. You're keeping me on my toes. That's a good thing. Definitely shows an interest. So I think the most significant thing we have is that we heard the name Charles, and then the spikes that we got out of Rich's device. I want to explain those so we know what we're actually dealing with. So Rich's device is measuring electricity inside the air, right? So if you were to put that behind your TV, about 40 to 60 milligauss, depending on how many things you have plugged into your TV. He did get a 17 and a 24. The average for this space is 18 to 22 on a 6-night-a-week basis. So last night we didn't have those, so we got them tonight. So I was like, all right, guess we're going to start the week off right. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been well over a microwave running, which is about 150 to 170. I've seen that device go to 214 milligauss in this space. We left. That's like putting your head inside the microwave while it's running. I have epilepsy. I don't play with that much EMF in the air to be able to cause a seizure. So again, we left pretty quickly. That's why I kind of give those heated warnings. It's not just for you, it's also for me. Now 17 to 24, we can definitely handle that. But those are good spikes. So hopefully you guys just miss things on your spirit boxes. So that way when I'm spot checking it tomorrow morning, I'll hopefully find a lot more. So let's kind of go through the answers. Did anybody hear or see anything since last I spoke to you? January 6th. Yeah. Tina was getting a lot of religious terms too.
Yeah.
You're in Charleston, part of the Bible Belt, on a Sunday. So expect all of those religious terms, just so you guys know. Not that the Pinckney family wasn't a religious family, but I also have to look at like what's going on currently to make your devices do what they're doing. When I bring out the tablet, guys, it's just to kind of further the story and give you all the answers. You don't need to huddle around or go around the room. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. This is the second wife named Eliza. So Lucas would have been one of the names that Lauren was looking for. The first wife was Lamb Pinckney. So Eliza Lamb. Now, with this particular wife, she married Charles at the age of 22. He was 45. So again, today's standards of being around 21, 22 when you first get married, that's standard. You know, she would have been considered an old maid, just so you know. It's creepy for me because I'm close to Charles's age and my oldest daughter is Eliza's age. So definitely a creepy age gap. Just gotta keep that in mind. Let's see. The mansion. Who had the questions about the mansion? Like what happened to it? Those were yours, right?
Mansion?
Yeah, like what happened to it and then when did that happen? I thought I gave those to you based on your spirit box that you have. Anyway.
Oh, was the number? No,
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
This is exactly where you're standing right now. This is the mansion that was here. This is the only photograph we have of this mansion, and this is after the Great Fire of 1861. You're looking at fire damage. So when we often get terms like fire, blaze, burning, anything relative to a fire, we'll get the date as well, at least 2 out of 3 digits. This happened on December 11th, 1861. So we'll get 12, 11, or 61, or a combination of 2 of those numbers. Obviously very specific numbers. So again, don't let me forget to write down numbers. But every tour in town, if you've taken any kind of history tour, has told you about one of our great fires. This is the fire that took out the Pinckney Mansion. This is a map of Charleston. So this shows you how large the fire actually was. You are standing on the tiny little green dots on the eastern coast of this map. So this was $5 to $9 million worth of damage back then. I have no idea what it equates to now because I'm sure inflation changed again. So this literally went from one side of the coast all the way to the other. This was a pretty big fire. The reason why the mansion didn't burn all the way down to the ground because of this fire is because it's made from more items than just wood. Everything else was mainly wood. So it did, take up pretty quickly. The children. So Tina, I believe those were your questions. There were 4 of them, not 5. You heard the number 5. So if we poke the bear, we'll get the number 3. It's almost like that, hey, we're not talking about that. I mean, I have 3 children. So that way we don't poke the bear about the tragedy. Let's go through the children very quickly. Charles, we already mentioned because he signed the Constitution, right? The next child I talk about is Thomas. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle, was shot in his left leg, and captured by the British in the Battle of Camden. That was just southwest of here. So when they released him, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. We didn't get anything relative to Thomas. I'm just giving you the clues that I normally get when he's here. The next child is the one I asked you not to poke the bear with. This is Baby George. You already see where this one's going because of his name. Baby George didn't make it. He doesn't have a headstone. He doesn't have a grave. It is a possibility and a theory of mine and mine alone that they would have mummified this child and kept him right here in the home, waiting for his mother to pass away so he could be buried with her. Kind of a creepy thought, but it's going to get even more weird when we talk about Eliza's death. But there's one more child. Her name was Harriet. She married in Horry. If you're familiar with South Carolina, Horry County is Myrtle Beach. That's 2.5 hours north of here. That kind of gives you an idea of where she lived. But Eliza didn't have a 2.5-hour drive. Lots of letter writing instead. So quill, ink, paper, published, anything relative to letter writing is what comes up when we hear from Harriet, which is very seldom. Eliza's death. She was 70 years old when she passed away in 1793. Yes, a long time for a woman to be living in those times.
I heard the number 70, and I was joking that if it was a DJ saying music from the 70s.
But that's exactly what we're looking for. So, bingo, right on the nose. She was going to Philadelphia. I'm going to definitely write that one down. She was going to Philadelphia getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what the hell breast cancer was in 1793. We're going based off her medical records now. So, she died in Philadelphia. She's buried in Philadelphia. That should raise two questions in the back of your brain. First off, baby George. If my theory's true, because you can't Google mummied baby and not expect a phone call, by the way, from the government. Like, what the hell are you doing? If it's true, they would have moved him from this space to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. It's kind of a creepy thought, right? I don't want to be that driver with the tombs of the dead baby in the back of my truck. The other thing is if she's up there, what the hell are we doing down here? I don't actually take you to cemeteries. The reason why is not a whole lot of people hang out where they're buried, believe it or not. I don't get a whole lot of activity. I get some, but not enough to warrant to take strangers there on a nightly basis. You're not going to hang out where you're buried. You're going to go to your mansion 400 miles away. That's just how it works. That's where I get the activity, is from the raised emotion of these locations, which is exactly why we're here. We went to take a guess at who the president was that was the pallbearer at her funeral. 1793 was my history. So did you do that by deductive reasoning?
Yeah.
All right. So it's a good thing you did it that way. Otherwise, here's why I'm actually normally I don't even get an answer. Notice I was giving you all of the answers, and that's the only question I asked back to you. When we got here, I told you I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we get at the Big Red Barn. I do that on purpose so that way you have George Washington subliminally put in the back of all of your brains. Well, everybody else pass with a fail. Rich did it by deductive reasoning, so he just passes. So good job to you, sir. However, George Washington, at his own request, because of her indigo that helped get our country started, wanted to pay homage to her and be a pallbearer. Granted, he probably didn't put a hand on the casket to carry her. He's probably just present with those gentlemen that did so. So, this is a very interesting space. Thank you for being respectful. I kind of heard everybody out there, so good job on that. I appreciate it. I love to keep this space. I've been coming here a long time. But when I say I've been getting unwelcome messages, these are disembodied voices that are saying, just leave us alone. That goes over 13 radio stations. So this is definitely not radio chatter, and it's happened on more than one occasion. So again, I come here every night before I meet with you guys to kind of say my piece with her. Like, hey, I have a team of 8. We're going to be respectful. You know, I just pay my respects before I meet you. But anyway, the next space we're going to go to is Philadelphia Alley. So those of you with spirit boxes, communication devices, I definitely want you listening in. Rich, I definitely want you to turn off that white button in the back and ignore your readings, because the parking meters make your device go off. The ghosts are not following us around. You can turn, we'll leave that motion sensor off while we're in the alley. Those of you recording video, you will not record video until we get into the alley. So again, you're kind of off limits too. So if you want to
16.5.
Nice.
16.4.
Take a 16.5.
Can I?
You had a 70.
I can hit this button.
Yeah. Just so if you have a video camera, by all means. Keep in mind, other tours, this is a staple for every other ghost tour. So if they start cutting through, we're just going to let them, we'll split the sea, let them go through. We do not film them because they did not pay to get filmed. That's just not what they did. So, Philadelphia Alley. This is a weird spot. It's not a space where we're not going to spread out and investigate. We will get things hopefully while we're here. So even if you're focused on me through the history portion of this, things are probably coming through on your spirit box, and we will get bleed over at the next space for this location as well. We'll be close enough to it. So this used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. It's kind of weird that there's nobody else down here, by the way. Just going to point that out.
Meaning what?
Like, take 10 paces, turn and shoot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it'll make more sense as we move along. So every ghost story comes down here tells the same story, but you're going to hear a little bit differently from me because we're going to go over some of the details because you're ghost hunting. This is not campfire and marshmallows. So Maureen's laughing like, yeah, that's what we want. We want the nitty gritty. So
Yeah, Mom.
and you don't feel molested, do you? No. You got a smile on your face. I that. So,
Hey, who knows? He could be getting molested if he's smiling.
I know, right?
You never know.
Are you okay?
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
You all right over there? So there's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. There's your first RI of why we look for it. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney, helping her out with all of the cash. The attorney thinks that doctor is after Amanda's money. The full name of the doctor, by the way, I don't think I gave you that, was Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I gave you all of the full name because all of it will show up at some point in time, at least bits and pieces of it. So if you hear Brown-Eyed Girl, it is not coincidence, just so you guys have that idea.
Good song.
Yeah, I know, right? And we get it here all the time. You might hear that song. But anyway, Dr. Ladd, to prove that he's not after Amanda's money, comes to Charleston to start his new medical practice. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his day in Charleston. Somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. Keep in mind, his initials are the same as where the doctor came from, R.I. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. We often, before we even had the Ouija board device, were getting the letters R.I. showing up on your spirit boxes in different fashions. It was weird. Cool. It's a little bit of something. We'll see what goes on.
I'm getting a lot of jumps too.
How high?
2.2 to 3.9.
The lamppost will probably make it go all the way to 5. Okay. So anything above 5 is going to be the base for this location.
Okay.
Where was I? So Ralph tells the doctor, he's like, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. You don't want to go inside. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there and rent a room and you'll be safe. Dr. Ladd took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor's staying here, the more money he's making. So he's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. When Amanda gets wind of this, sorry, his Ouija board keeps going off, and I'm like, what is going on? So I got off track. But Amanda gets wind that he's making his own money and doing pretty well for himself, so she's going to move down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. What I'm going to tell you is that every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. I'm just going to put it out there. We actually have proof of this one. I'm not just saying that. Like, this is legit stuff. So I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy works in Charleston. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they went to see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're arguing over the new actress that was in town. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. The argument gets really heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. So they obviously go their separate ways, pretty ticked off at each other. I told you Ralph has friends around town. He goes to see his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, sir, kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd sees the newspaper ad, but rebuttals with, let's just go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. Like over a squabble over an actress and him insulting his girlfriend, or fiancée. So they come down, they took their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air and is shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. He wasn't always a dead guy. Ralph has his one bullet. Anybody want to guess where he put it?
In his head.
Nope.
Chest.
Nope, his kneecap. The doctor didn't die either, but Ralph proved his point. He's still pissed off. So Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786. So, he also refused medical treatment during that 10 days. Why? He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out this bullet himself. This is the late 1780s. Bullets back then were not the same as what we know now, so he's probably more worried about lead poisoning. So again, he refused the medical treatment. Other versions of this story will tell you that the second best doctor came in to try to help him, kind of mentality. All the research that I've done on this story, he refused it. It was more than 3 to 4 times that I read that in different articles of this particular story. So the other ghost stories that come down here will tell you to listen for the whistles, right, as you're walking through here. We're using my voice recorder, so hopefully you're going to get some whistles in the background when you guys listen to it. However, if you're going to try to come through here all the way by yourself and like go all the way to the end, I can't take you that far because I've actually been kicked out of here, and I'm going to get to that. That's the fun part of the story. But turn on your voice recorders, listen for whistles in the background, but keep in mind every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street blows a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. We pass my garage above the Scotchman, that little convenience store over there, so I have to pass this alley every night. If my daughter's on the tour with us, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. It's just the game we play, especially since we got booted out of here. So let's talk about how I got booted out of here. That's the fun part. So this alley didn't come all the way through, going that way. It was cut off about halfway between us and Cumberland Street. So it's because this is where they kept the livestock, so they had to kind of keep them huddled in. So that means those bricks down on that side are older than the bricks on this side. Those bricks on that side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. And I would always take my groups down there because I'm sure you guys picked up on I'm all about the history to prove, like, hey, look how far we've come away from slavery. We all need to see it regardless of the diversity of my groups. However, all of my groups want to try to get a reading out of it. So they all want to huddle around it, and I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. You think that kid's really staring at that brick in the afterlife? That's the last place you're going to find that kid. So, one night, November 26th of 2020, yes, a very specific date, and it is relevant, I'm going to get to that. My group is all huddled around it, and I'm trying to shoo them along because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. Yeah, we're not supposed to be there, and I didn't know that. We were out of bounds. I was in the wrong. the new neighbor came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for 20 plus years, mainly for Walmart. Feel my pain. So I don't work Thanksgivings anymore. The next day was November 28th of 2020. I got a phone call asking me to go down halfway or to reroute my groups. So obviously we had a complaint. So I decided I'm going to reroute my group, but the story that we were about to go into, I told my team, I don't really believe the story we're going to go into. I'm going to tell you what I do know about pirates. I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person, and we'll see what happens. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. What I didn't tell that group was we were going to be investigating the female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was like, oh shit, now something's going to go down. We get up there, I told the little bit I did know about pirates in Charleston up there, and we were kind of waiting to see what happens, and somebody else heard the number 300, and I didn't know what that meant. That's obviously a very specific number. I looked it up the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, damn it, now I got to learn about pirates. So I've read more books than I ever wanted to about piracy, trying to piece together a factual investigation based on pirate lore. You guys should be lucky I have a master's degree in creative writing and can piece all this together. So I have a stack of pirate books in my office that I've gone through dozens of times, trying to make sure everything we're talking about is as accurate as I can possibly make it. Everything we're going to discuss came from a minimum of 2 resources. Keep in mind we're also going to get things from Philadelphia Alley because we're basically going to be right across that courtyard. So, speaking of this courtyard, right here, this gate, I also like to tell you why it's here. It's kind of a creepy little fun fact about Charleston that not many people know. Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through this way? That would have also been at the time of the duels that occurred. This was the shortcut in the event that there was a loser to the duel. The reason why is because St. Philip's Cemetery is right there. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down to Queen Street and back around with a dead body. That's dead weight. And that's keeping you from going to celebrate with a fresh new pint. So, they would use this as a shortcut to get over to the cemetery. It's got a wrought iron gate on it now, but that was probably put there in the early 1900s. So, just kind of keep that in mind. Not a lot of people know why this gateway is actually there. So, have we seen or heard anything going on with your device?
I got a bunch of names. I got Derek. I got drunk. Administration, June. I think that's the only ones that make any sense.
Any letters show up for you? We get an RRI?
No RRI yet.
Okay. All right. So again, did you get any other numbers that showed up?
It's staying around 2.5.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're going to go up to the powder magazine and discuss things. So Tina, were you focused strictly on me, or were you listening over there?
No, I was asking Andy if we're allowed to take pictures, like with our cell phones.
Oh, this is your night.
Yeah,
Have fun.
okay,
If you guys
okay.
find stuff, send it to me. Like,
Okay.
I'll take a look at it. I analyze stuff pretty much on a daily basis. I was looking at photographs after last night's investigation. But anyway, by all means, take photos. I don't mind. It's your guys' night, not mine. You're collecting evidence for yourself, not for me to collect stuff and say, look at all the stuff I did. But any other major questions about this weird alley? I'm just surprised nobody's come through here. Maybe it's because it's Sunday. Maybe you guys are just the cool kids that want to work on a Sunday night. All right, let's go talk about pirates. Let's do this. Those of you with video cameras, if you want to keep them going, by all means do so. If you want to give your hands a break, do that too. Up to you.
I'm listening.
sorry.
Okay. She also heard Get Out, so maybe they're apologizing for kicking us out of here. Tina, you got anything? You're grinning like you got something.
No, I was just taking pictures.
Oh, by all means. You're at a 96% full moon tonight, just so you guys know. You guys missed the full moon by 2 nights. So there are certain times of the year where the full moon lands right next to St. Philip's steeple, and I use that picture for social media all year round. It's gorgeous. And in black and white, it's even better. But anyway, so Get Out, then I'm Sorry.
I thought I heard the beginnings of Jesus, but then it's...
What
Yeah.
biggie? Are you vibing on that?
But I figure we're heading...
What biggie though?
Yeah, but what song? I mean, is it that one?
Yeah.
Biggie was a pirate.
This is a fun group. I
They
have
call
to
them
say.
Downey.
Like, the humor here is actually astronomical compared to some of the other groups I get. Like, it's
call
all
them-
What can I tell you, Nick? We are top tier.
Well, what's funny is like I get attentive groups like you guys, but normally it's a stone face. I'm like,
Oh nah.
You should tell your
what
groups
is
to drink
happening
before
right
this.
now? But you guys have been like all giggles all night long.
You should tell your groups to drink before this.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That'll help.
I don't tour if there's drunks.
Oh, really?
Like if somebody comes to me and they're awesome,
Oh,
I'll go home.
but like the fun, like bubbly, had a few drinks.
Had a few drinks. Like if this group had a few drinks, I wouldn't be able to tell. You're here to have fun. That's the whole point. So as long as they're respectful
We got
to me, the
nothing.
equipment, and the ghosts.
We
we're
got
gonna
anything
go.
on this.
But if I find somebody that can't even get up, I'm going home. It's just that simple. So.
We got anything on
Yeah,
this.
I've had, I don't know how many people show up stoned thinking they're going to have a great time. I'm like, yeah, have a good night, buddy. Thanks for your money. Like, I don't refund either, especially for that. But anyway, where are we? We're at the Powder Magazine. We're going to be discussing that little building over there. There will be a place where we can spread out. I brought us back here because other tours like cut through the lot and they give their little spiel, and I kind of let them do it. So again, it's just weird. It's very calm tonight too. You guys hearing like this weird, peaceful? It's very weird. But the Powder Magazine, those are not crosses on that building. Those are earthquake bolts. So what the hell are earthquake bolts? If we get another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we haven't, by the way, you can turn those because they're turnbuckles. So it'll stop the building from incurring any further damage from the earthquake that already occurred. It's a great idea. It just doesn't work, just so you guys know. The reason I bring these ones up specifically is part of the reason why we're here. Those were the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? It's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So you guys have been seeing earthquake bolts all over town, but they look like lion heads and pineapples and all kinds of crazy Charleston charm bullshit. Yeah, take a look at those. That's what they were originally designed like. But we are here because this building is familiar to Anne Bonny. It was being constructed at the same time that she was coming here to start a new life. So this is what I call a familiar. If you guys watch the TV shows, it's like using a teddy bear to attract a child ghost. So it's the same type of principle. So we may get a lot here, we might not get anything. We never know. It's just one of those things. Welcome to the paranormal supernatural field. But this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But right in the middle of its construction is when Anne Bonny came here and where our story begins. 1708. Follow me. There's a lot of twists. It's pirate lore, just so you remember. And you're going to love this one because you've been all, grins about certain jokes. So you're going to love this guy. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys with me so far? Okay, good, head nods. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was she that they left Ireland by boat to come here? Just putting that out there. So they land in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he's sending young Anne down here into town to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. So let's take a step backwards. Anne back home in Ireland was said to be a badass. At the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. We have had the term servant, knife, and belly show up all in the same evening, just so you know. Fast forward, that building is done in 1713. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne's about 16, 17 years old at this point, and she's going to fall in love because she wants to earn her freedom, just like a man. That's the way things go. It's a man's world. Guy number one. Yes, I said number one because there's a handful. We're going to go through them. Guy number one is James Bonny. You already know where this one's going because we've already mentioned her full name already. So, Dad didn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny, a famous female pirate. However, James is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, right? So this guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she wants. She falls in love again a few years later Guy number 2, John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. This is the guy that they based your Johnny Depp character off of, just so you know. So this is literally the guy she's looking for. He has his own crew. What's that?
Represent.
He has his own crew, but he can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? Keep it
Same
family.
reason referee got free flesh.
I was gonna say keep it family friendly, but I remember what group I had. So they're bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you can be part of the crew, but you're definitely going to be a female in like quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she knows it's a man's world. She's good with it. She's a pirate. Let's go. But she's a female in his quarters. We're all adults here. Obviously, we've been talking about molestations. So let's put 2 and 2 together. She's going to get pregnant by being a female in his quarters. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So Jack drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has a baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. No amount of the research that I've done can find the actual happening. But she does come back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty pissed off. And while she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting, because that's what Anne does. She's going to make him even more mad. So, guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Mary and Anne become lovers, possibly that we may know of, but definitely friends. The British find out where they are. They send an entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, 2 ladies are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships. So they get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at her beau, Captain Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot here, by the way, because it's a very famous quote. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried to hung Calico Jack and all of the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight 2 days prior, so they're already dead and gone. Anne and Mary go in front and reveal their gender, hoping that the judge will set them free. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them. They're pirates. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they screamed out to him, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. They were both claiming to be pregnant. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging, but Dad's up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money, because he was an attorney back home. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary Reed, because we don't really know for sure. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. You guys were expecting another 20 minutes out of that story, I'm sure. However, Mary Reed dies a year later, 1721, from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was fever. I'll call bullshit. Make it romantic for yourselves. It's probably scurvy. So again, it's pirates. Let's really dress it up for you. A couple of things that I left out of the story on purpose, because you all know what you're doing with your communication devices by now. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship on purpose. So that way you got a prominent English woman that we need to tiptoe around. Ask your questions. Ask what you want to know. Make sure they're not yes/no questions. So, Rich, with your device, your motion device is already on. Don't expect a whole lot of numbers unless you're near the corners or near that half of the lot, because of the parking meters and the 2 electrical poles. I'm more interested in numbers back here, but you can ask Anne Bonny what her hair color is, and hopefully she'll show you what color it was. It is red, just so you know. This is the only place I've ever gotten a direct answer from that device to a red, just so you know. We've got it several times in this location. But everybody else, ask whatever the hell you want to. One of the best orbs I've ever caught was with the IR camera, Eric, came at this location. So it came near that wall. But we are going to spread out, and we'll kind of see what's going on here. You guys all know what you're doing. Let's see what we can find. Let's do this. Wow, super quiet group. You guys are freaking me out, man.
What did you hear?
Supernatural.
What the hell?
You got something up?
Yes.
What'd you get?
It just seems supernatural.
I don't think that's anything.
I have to pee.
Go pee in the bush on there.
I'm gonna go pee here.
I'm gonna stand over here so it looks like we're talking.
Oh my god.
Okay, put the camera over here. Nothing.
Hello, if you're here, please orb yourself.
Do they know the word orb in the 1700s?
Show yourself.
I just keep saying, like, what color was your hair? Or, like, what was it like being pregnant? Or, like, what happened to your baby? Southern. Yes. Yes, we are being Southern at this moment. Is your baby Southern? Hi, then. Is your baby a boy? Is your baby a girl? What's your baby?
Make your presence known.
Individual. Individual. Does that mean that there's one person here?
Please show your orbs. If you are here, show yourself.
John Calhoun is also buried over here. He was our seventh vice president. So during the month of March, I talk about him because he does state that he was born in March of that. So we see a lot of him.
Isn't that funny? I was born in March also.
But like the John.
We are excited to meet you. Please make your presence known. If you have anything to show or to say, please do so. No. If you are here, please show us a sign. We would like to talk to you, coming as a pirate. We are interested in learning about piracy back in the day. Please make your presence known. Give me a light. Give me a shining orb. Give me something.
Got anything on there?
No.
So one thing I caught here, it's like this is an upgraded camera. Like we had a pretty shitty one beforehand. So when I got this one, upgraded the light, I was demonstrating the lasers over in this location, and we had an orb show up in screen, like as big as my head, come from this area,
Yeah.
stop when it saw me, and then went up, and then dissipate. Like craziest shit I've ever seen. Like completely intelligent,
Really?
largest thing I ever saw, as far as like on that camera. I was like, really, the second night we have this thing out here?
Wow.
Pretty stoked about that. And it was
That's pretty
right
cool.
at this location. So you're almost standing in the exact same
Yeah.
spot, which is kind of ironic. That's why I was like, I came running over.
Can I
All
talk?
right, guys, let's rein it in.
Can I
See what we
talk
got going on.
to, like, try and provoke it to show?
If you have what?
Can I talk to, like, see if it will, like,
React?
react and show?
Yeah, why not? I mean, that's
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. And I don't listen to the audio on these pieces.
Oh,
On the video cameras, I want to stay focused on the visual, so I actually
Got it.
will shut them down. I'll explain it more. It's actually kind of fun.
Got it.
Anything at all, Eric?
No.
Have you seen anything?
No. I mean, doesn't mean there's not anything there. I just haven't seen it. Yeah, I could have missed it.
All right, come on in. So, Rich, did you get any numbers, colors?
No.
Nothing at all? Yeah, you're getting closer
Oh, wow.
to the electrical pole. That's correct. So a couple of weird things that are going on here that might not be relevant specifically to Anne Bonny, but just relevant to what's going on with us. So we were just discussing on how a lot of the deaths that I research, these people died in the same months that they were born in. The word month showed up on Lauren's word list
And I got
almost
life.
immediately after. So again, that's kind of crazy. Emily heard two terms that kind of raised my attention. I'm not going to tell you what one of them is, but it is definitely a very specific name relevant to our next location that is next to St. Michael's Church. She also heard the name Michael. So again, and she heard them consecutively. So she heard the name that I normally give you guys as a question of something you can ask there, which is why I'm not telling you what the name is, but it's almost like they know we're coming. So again, I'm out here 6 to 7 nights a week. My name shows up quite a bit, but again, I haven't had something like that show up for this new location that we're going to next. And that space, by the way, is not a very elongated story. It is a very creepy story to end our night with. It will be our last space. I'll tell you what I do know about the location, and we will spread out. It is a very creepy park, especially at the time of night that we're going to be there. So let's cover what we got going on with Anne Bonny. Did anybody else hear anything specific? Any initials? Anything coming up? AB, MR? Nothing? Wow. Okay. So, and no readings out of Rich. So that's kind of disappointing. Again,
All I heard was I used to be better, she just didn't know it. That's all I heard towards the end.
that's a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, it was like whisper, space, and then again at the end. That was it. And then
Okay, I'll be writing that down as we walk to our next space, so kind of keep that one in the back of your brain. The photo of Anne Bonny that I'm about to show you is one of the few pictures you can find of this young lady with a shirt on. The reason why is because she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Yeah, told you this chick was kind of a badass, right? By the way, if you have a camera and you want to stop it, by all means do so. Give your hands a break. But the names of her parents, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. It was not a word trick because they already had Mary Reed. It just so happened to turn out that way. It was not playing more tricks on you. But again, Mary Brennan was a servant of the Cormack family, and it's a whole nother saga that I can go into with the father, but he doesn't show up here, so we don't need to discuss that any further. That's another 30-minute scandal. Calico Jack. Everybody wants to see what they based Johnny Depp's character off of, so yes, I'm going to show it to you. So, Calico Jack. Oh, that's the other thing I'm excited about. I'll get to that in a second. This is Calico Jack. This is what they based Johnny Depp off of. The reason why he's named Calico Jack is because of the jacket that he wore. The jackets he wore came from British captains that he killed. So his father was a tailor, which means textiles were very important to him. Calico Jack, fancy jacket. It's basically where the name comes from. The name of the ship was called the Kingston. Now with all of your spirit boxes that you guys are using, the only one that I would actually expect the word Kingston to come out of is Maureen's. She captures more disembodied voices than all the others. The word king would actually suffice in this location because this is where we have to mix our technology with things that we would hear on the radio stations to be able to get a direct answer. We had the word king show up on Lauren's list. So I am very excited about that. Why? We don't often get it, just so you know. So I'm excited about a few things. That month thing that showed up on her word list right after my conversation with Maureen, and the two names that showed up from Emily. So have I screwed up anybody's name yet, by the way? I have you guys all down? Good.
No.
All right, good. So, any other major questions about pirates? You guys are going to hear a conversation between me and Andy about pirates because apparently he has a vast pirate knowledge. So we had a little chit chat and comparing notes. So the next space, like I said, is a space I don't know everything about. That's the fun part for you, where you don't have to listen to me talk for 5 to 7 minutes. I'm going to give you what I do know, but it is definitely creepy. So Lauren, sorry, I have to end it on a creepy night. Oh, by the way, before we leave this space, this is something else I have to tell you while we're here. I gave that heated warning at the beginning. It's not just based on the EMF that I saw at the Pinckney Mansion site. It's also from this space, particularly. September, a year ago, so not this past September, the year before, I brought my group to the back just like I normally do. Full group, 8 to 9 people. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost, like ready to drop like a wet noodle. I pick him up by his armpit quickly so he doesn't hit his head. Like I seen him going down. His boyfriend picked him up from the other side of him. We brought him over to this wall so he can have a glass of water. I told the story to Ann Bonnie that I told all of you. Afterwards, this used to be my grand finale, by the way. We would do pirates and just spread out for 10 to 15 minutes or so. But they're all spread out. But them two guys, they sat down and they pull me aside and say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males. Meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story, on my tour. And I didn't know it. So it made complete sense as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. And when I say the minute we entered the space, I mean we weren't in halfway through the wall before that kid started dropping. These are the weird things that I see of why I give those warnings. A good psychic normally doesn't make it past the Pinckney Mansion site, just so you know. Can't tell you how many times I've had to call the paramedics, and it's always there. Just what it is. I can't make this stuff up. And they don't tell me that they're a practicing psychic or a witch until after the paramedics are putting them on a gurney. Like, damn it, you should have told me this stuff ahead of time. So, but again, that's why I kind of give those heated warnings. The next space we're going to go to is about 2.5 blocks from here. So again, video cameras. We're going to be passing by a very cool cemetery where I caught like those weird cold anomalies. That's the circular church. So if you want to get some footage in there, I'm not going to stop. So just kind of get it as we're moving along because it is 2.5 blocks away. But again, very creepy park. Again, with your device, Rich, you can ignore the readings. I think you're getting the gist of the parking meters are going to make it go off. But in the next space, we've gotten over triple digits on your device. So hopefully that'll be one of our nights tonight. But yeah, let's go learn about this crazy writer. Maureen, you're going to look weird again because you'll be listening to static. All right, Ann, I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to him every day. Let him know I'm coming back.
Rafi,
So I already have.
if you are going to rape Rafi, please show yourself.
Rafi,
I got a chill down my
is
spine.
Rafi asshole gonna be red? Rafi,
Oh, there's a group here.
All right. Anything weird going on the way here?
I got, and it turns, and then the other thing is, where does it come from? That's what I heard.
Aren't these the questions we're supposed to be asking?
Yeah.
I got sin, refugee, monitor, permit, enact, measure, probably, and report, and consider.
Funny thing about HIV down there. So, this is a very open group. So the cemetery we just passed, like the circular church, some of the research I was doing, because I always look for like where's the famous people of that cemetery. Apparently the guy who came up with the active ingredient for Viagra is buried in there. So I was like, I don't know if I can really bring the boner piece to the tours when I get little kids on the tour. So
you think when he died he was stiff?
He might have been. I don't know. So
obviously more than 4 hours. That's pretty good. Guess you failed to call his physician.
What a fun group. I don't always get to laugh, and that's appreciated. Guys. I really appreciate it.
I've heard 100 years about
Right as we were passing, right before Chalmers. Okay.
100 years.
no one walked into this thing.
Probably you guys voted, I guess, on not bringing the dogs. What kind of dogs did you have?
We have a blue healer and a min pin chihuahua. So we left them.
I actually have an ESA for my epilepsy, so this is the only thing he's not with.
Oh.
Just because I have to keep my hands busy and sometimes keeping him under control. He's a miniature dachshund, so again, he's very well trained, but when people are getting into my space, he does not. So this is the only thing he doesn't come with. But anyway, welcome to Washington Park. So we did get the word disrespectful. So again, we're going to see what happens here. Be very respectful to this guy that we're going to be speaking to. He's a very shy, timid writer, and he's a very poor man. First time I came here a few months ago, every year I change up the tour a little bit. I take one location out and add another one. So I brought one couple over here just to see what would happen, and there was a ton of monuments, as you guys can see. Not to mention we're in George Washington Park. So I didn't know what to find. What we did find was clues to the gentleman behind me. This is Henry Timrod, who's the poet laureate of the Confederacy. So quick story on him is that he was sick for most of his life, but he was obviously alive during the Civil War. The things that we found were the year of his birth, the name Henry, and the name Tim. His last name is Timrod, kind of like Nimrod with a T. So, again, I guess that would be disrespectful. I shouldn't do that. There's our term. But anyway, he wanted to fight for the war on the Confederate side. So he went to the battlefield, but his friends realized he was too sick to fight. So they sent him home, knowing he was a writer, and said, go be the voice of the war. So he did. He came home, started writing about what was going on in the battlefield and in the hearts and minds of the people of Charleston. So a couple years after he came home from the war, he has a son. But his son dies at a very young age. One of the things that Emily heard was the name of that son. It's a very specific name. It's not a common name for the 1800s. And it's the exact name that is engraved into his tombstone. So hopefully it comes up again. This is also where she heard the name Michael. St. Michael's Church is right behind you. That's why I'm so interested that we're going to hopefully get a lot of things here. So the son dies at a young age. Also, you can ask about the son's birthday. It's a very specific date. It's significant to Americans. But at any rate, a few years after that, his friend calls him up, a college friend, and says, you know what, you've been going through a lot. Why don't you come out to my cottage out here in Columbia? You can finish the pieces that you're working on for your publication, and we can kind of take things from there, and you can have some peace. I'm out of town. So he goes out there, and that's exactly where he writes his last words. His last words that he wrote down were, beholder of brief mortality, person of short life, in essence. And then he coughs. And and the cough turns into a blood stain on the page. He had tuberculosis. So that blood stain looks like a man writing over his desk. Kind of a creepy thought, considering those were his last words, and then that's where he ends leaving the world. This is called the Blood Book, and they show this one page once a year at the Charleston Library Society. It's on Halloween only, and you have to be a member of the society to be able to go in and see the page, to my knowledge. I'm going to show you the page, because obviously there's a picture of it online, and I took it from there. So that way you get to see the actual last words that he wrote, and you get to see how that blood stain looks like, just like a man writing over his desk. After I go through and show you guys this little blood stain, I am going to read the last stanza of his poem called Charleston to hopefully stir things up. So again, very shy, timid, poor man. Very creepy story, very sad story. This man died also at a very young age. Hopefully you're going to be able to find out what that age is. Again, you all know what you're doing by now. You're doing very well. So Rich, with your device, in the grassy knolls of this area, we have caught up to 157 milligauss on your readings. And it's never in the same spot. So again, once in a while it'll be like in one knoll, and then 3 nights later it's in another one. It's so weird. So again, 157, that's microwave levels, guys. That's pretty high readings. So hopefully you're going to get a lot out of this. I would also tell you at the beginning of December, one of my ghost hunters that night brought an SLS camera. If you're not familiar with that, that's the stick figures, right? So he brought this big jumbled camera and was testing it out on my tour. And I was like, all right, cool, we'll see what happens. We had an 8-minute interaction with a stick figure standing next to this monument. And when I say interaction, Henry, is it okay if I read a stanza from your poem Charleston? Raise your right hand. Went up and back down. So you're going to find out once I tell you about like how you get to your data tomorrow morning. I don't hide anything. Everything is on my website for an entire year from the date of its actual, investigation date. So if you want to go back and look at it, you just go back to December, and all the notations will be at the top, so you know which date to go to, and you can watch the full 8-minute interaction of what was going on with that camera. We actually videotaped it with the camera that Eric was using because the gentleman using it didn't know how to record with it yet. So I put the short little 3-foot girl to put the camera over the guy's shoulder so we can get the interaction in real time. Anyway.
I see an orb that's not moving, and it's completely dark over there, but it's very bright over here. I don't know if it's anything, but it's been there. It's like right up top, and you can't see it because it's being blocked by the trees.
The light from the archway.
Yep, I think it's the light over there.
Oh, over there?
Yep, that's a widescreen. It's gonna fisheye a little bit.
Oh.
Hello, my friend Brian.
I don't know who Brian is.
Our friend.
This is Henry. We know not in the temple of the fates, God has inscribed her doom. And all untroubled in her faith, she waits the triumph or the tomb. This was written in 1862, right in the middle of the Civil War. So it's basically stating, because this was during the battle and the siege on Charleston, what the outcome of the city was going to be, triumph or the tomb. Triumph and tomb have both shown up on spirit boxes in this location in the past. I realize the nights that I have forgotten to read this paragraph or this stanza, we don't get much activity. I like to stir things up, be very respectful, but give him a few minutes to actually interact with you. He has to get to know you before he's going to show himself. Again, weird stuff happens in here. You might actually get other clues to other people of monuments in here, so kind of be ready for that as well. I do pay attention to everything, including the names like Brian. I'm like, I don't know who the hell Brian is, but I'm definitely going to write it down. But we're going to spread out, have some fun. Other tours do pass through here. Be respectful to them. But I'm going to be mainly interested in what's going on with Rich's device, just so you know. He's going to be kind of like the gatekeeper of things are going to happen or not. So I'm going to let him patrol all of the different grassy knolls and then follow up with him and see where we're at. So go have some fun. This is our last stop. So let's do this. Can I see your word list since I haven't followed up with you in a minute? I'm going to take it from you.
Gatekeep girl boss.
Says you peed yourself. And you're MIA.
I'm here.
You guys are definitely a fun group. I don't always have this much fun, but you guys are good. When I can like let loose a little bit, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Rafi, anything?
No.
Particularly obviously his initials of HT would
Yeah.
be big here, and the letters PHH showing up in consecutive order. That was the initials of the collegiate friend. So I'm not clear that it's
Yeah, the second we walked in here, I got like a weird chill like I did the other night on the couch.
Really?
Yeah.
Wish I could see. I haven't seen anything at all.
Well, I was also going to ask you, should I leave in this class?
If you are here tonight, I would love to see a sign. I'm interested in getting to know you. I would love to see you show me something to make it known that you are with us tonight. Getting anything?
Can't remember the guy's name.
Henry? Peter? Yeah. What's this man's name? Is it Henry?
No.
Peter?
Damn, I forgot the name.
He said so many names, I'm just not sure which one is the right one.
What is this man's name? Is it Henry or Peter?
Henry.
Henry. It is Henry. I was right.
Where'd you get Peter from?
It just came into my head. I don't know.
You're thinking about the boner guy and Peter, aren't you?
Yes.
The boner guy, you like that, right?
That's what I'm thinking of.
God. We're just like European.
Henry, my friend. My boy. My amigo. My pal. Please,
I hope he knows some of these words.
make your presence known to me so I can see your shining orb. I would love to get to know you as a friend and hope that we can have a mutual agreement to see each other and trust each other. I like to eat food. I'll tell you something about myself, as long as you make it known. I like to eat food. I like to drink. I like to play video games.
I don't think he knows what video games are.
They are games that you play on an electronic device.
It's fair enough.
I wish to see you pop out of the abyss. You get anything?
5.0 briefly in the corner there, but then it disappeared quick.
He said you get stuff by the bushes, and didn't he say by the bushes?
I got it right over there.
Yeah.
I've been all around here twice. The only place I got it is 5.0.
Yeah.
Well, I got like a 5.0 over there, 8.5 here, and then a 3.4. Right here I got a 8.0, 5.7, 3.4, and now I'm at 0.
All right. Scan the entire space.
Yeah, I got a 5.0 in the corner, 8.5 here, and then 3.5, and now it's down to 0 again.
I would put these 4 times and press 2.5 points over here, just past that tree. So if you want to turn over there, that's where we were getting some of the 100.
Henry, if you're here, make your presence known to me. Show me a sign. Let me see your energy in your life. We are your friends. We are here to learn.
tonight, right? You
Yep.
said?
Well, what's funny is the past couple of nights it's been like anywhere between, like I'd say 3 and 5 to 6 people. I can't remember the exact numbers, but we're obviously a party of 9 tonight. So there's 8 of you plus 1 of me. Again, I told you it's a very shy man. So when we're getting privacy and learn to be heard, and now we're getting too many, it's almost like he's like, yeah, this is a little much. Anything crazy going on with yours? Nothing. And we've already chit-chatted. The 10.3, pretty light for this space considering. Normally the spikes here that we've seen have gone into at least the 50s or 60s when we had a lot going on. But the other name that Emily heard along with Michael was Willie. That's the name of the son, and that's exactly what's engraved on his tombstone. He's buried right next to his father in Colombia. His birthday is Christmas Eve, so sometimes we get the number 24. Obviously December, we had a couple of Christmas Eves. That's an easy grab, so I kind of expected those. And again, when you hear Christmas Eve, when you're asking how old, when he was born, he was only 9 months old when he died. So October 23rd is when he passed away. The name of the wife, if anybody was wondering, I don't think I brought that up, but her name was Katie. And how we learned about that, just like the name David has been showing up here 6, 7 times, and I still don't know who the hell he is. We DJ 2 nights in a row. The next Katy Perry song, I'm like, okay, let me look up Katy. That's 2 nights in a row. The George Washington bit that I told you guys earlier with the pallbearer, I learned that from the toll. Like most of the stuff I told you tonight came from not just research, but researching what you guys find. So it's not like the city of Charleston says I have to teach you guys this shit, certain things. It's what I find. George Washington, the full name showed up twice in the same week. So I was like, at the Pinckney Mansion site, I better look into this. Turns out he was a pallbearer. I'm like, that's a great question there.
They think you're reliable.
You better. I'm on here every damn night.
Day. They said day.
On which day?
Get it together, Nick.
I know, right? So Katie was the wife's name, Willie was the son, and obviously, Henry being a poet wrote a poem entitled by each of their names. So when things pop up, especially when I'm giving you your notes, I may even give you the direct link to the poem Willie, and obviously the link to his grave so you can see what's on that. So I'm going to scoot, it might hit you, so sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we can all sit. Perfect. So here's what's going to happen from here. I'm going to start collecting your devices. I'm going to hand my digital business card to Lauren, and you guys can pass it around. Either tap it to your phone. If it doesn't pick it up that way, there's a QR code on the back. Just scan it with your phone so that way you have my contact info, and that way you can get a hold of me when you guys find extra things. Your data tomorrow morning. A couple of things about that. Today's what, the 8th? There's going to be more tours on top of yours. I keep all of the data up on the website for an entire year. And basically you can go back and look at any date you want, but the newest tour always goes at the top. So your tour is going to get buried pretty quickly. I make everything downloadable. All of your videos will be on YouTube. Those are easy, quick saves. Your audio pieces from Spirit Boxes and my voice recorder, MP3s, right click, download. Those are easy as well. All of my notes, you can copy paste into a Word document and it brings the links with it. So that way you don't have to keep revisiting my website, trying to find your tour and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I also left I always put a link to a field guide at the top of your data set. If you didn't have a Spirit Box or a thermal imaging camera, the field guide will kind of guide you on what you're looking for when you're getting your data back. And it actually has paranormal evidence in it from other tours. So that way you know exactly what you're looking for. So, this was an awesome group, by the way. So I had a lot of fun. That doesn't always happen. I appreciate that. So I'm going to start collecting devices, and I'll take this one first. And again, I might have to give you a job later, so be prepared for a phone call for cameraman. He actually kept that thing super still for you guys all night long. Like, that was a great, thing to do.
Thanks, Andy.
I know, right? What questions do you guys have for me? Was this what you guys were expecting? I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm looking for feedback.
I liked it.
You were the one I was worried about.
He usually is.
109 terms, by the way. That's a lot. We get an average of 75, just so you guys know. And it's